So hey everybody, it is 6 o'clock. Welcome to Triumph Tuesday. It's Serger night and we're going to get started. I will answer all questions at the end of my demo. But what I've got going on tonight, I am making wall coverings for one wall here in my studio. And what I've got is this 108 wide quilt backing that I'm going to turn in to drapes, for lack of a better word. It's not going to be on drapery rods or a rod pocket or anything like that. I have this old house has picture rails in it, so I'm going to hang it from these little clips I got that attach to the picture rail. So the first thing I have to do, I've got two of these to make. I'm only going to do one online. But I'm first going to hem with a 3-thread rolled hem the bottom edge of this first panel. So this is 108 wide quilt backing. I measured, better be right. So I cut these at 120 inches. There are 11-foot ceilings throughout this house. So I'm going to swap my camera over here so that the Serger cam is front and center. Here we go. Okay, so what I've done, I have my stitch selector on C, the letter C. Okay, I have a 3 threads, the 02 needle, which is the one closest to the knife, and then the upper and lower looper. Okay, and I have my stitch length set at 3, and I have my stitch width set at 3.0, okay? That is what the threading chart, whenever you're in doubt, always look on the threading chart, and it says stitch length 0.75 to 4. I'm gonna do a 3. This isn't gonna show, so I really don't care. I just don't want it to get raveling along the edges of it. So, without further ado, I have it all set and I'm going to get started. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to eyeball it and I'm going to run my knife, there we go, right along this edge right here. I'm going to use these circles as a guide so I get a nice even hem from end to end. And I'm going to put it, I'm going to put it face down. Go to the other edge here. And I'm just going to lay, you can see right there, this is the bottom side of it, but where these two circles meet, that's what I'm going to run right along the edge of the table here, and that way I'll get a nice even hem. Hopefully, anyway. Here we go. And it would help if I unlocked my blade. So I'm just hadn't taken a needle in it yet, so I'm going to do that. There we go. I'm just going to take my time and keep it nice and even. Right there, so the edge of the table. And that's what I'm using as a guide. And by pulling it towards me gently, it'll fold right along where those two circles meet, and I'll get a nice even cut that way. And yes, I did cut it at the length that I did because when I get ready to change my wall covering, I can trim it up and still have a 3-yard cut of my 108 wide quilt pack to use on a quilt. Let's tension up. Why are you doing that? Let go. There we go. Thread, I don't know what was doing there. It's all good though. I think I had it bound back here. It was in a bind. I only have my machine set at half speed, so I'm going to pump up the speed a little bit here. And we're off. There we go. You know, manipulating 108 wide quilt back can be a challenge at times for anybody, myself included. And I'm not watching the knife or the needle. I'm just making sure I'm aligned right here where I want to be. Alrighty, that's done. Of course, one way to smooth out any seam on the serger, and I'm going to put this in my little scrap bucket here. So I put all my thread clips and fabric. That's the only thing that goes in that. So once you do this, just to smooth it, you can press it, but I would just take my fingers and smooth it out right here like this. Let me get this over here where you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just pinching it right there and pulling it through those two fingers. And that'll smooth it out. There we go. Now a little later I'll put some fray check on the end of that, and I'm just going to trim it off flush. So that part's done. Now I am going to set this up for a 4-thread overlock because I'm going to attach my elastic. Check it out. I measured it. That's 108 inches of 3/4 inch waistband, no roll waistband elastic. That'll be give it a nice firmness because there'll be metal clips off of the picture rail holding this up. So that's why I'm doing it this way, is so that I have something nice and taut up there and it'll give it a nice crisp edge. So I will need my other end of this piece. There we go. And let's see here, how straight is this edge? If I have to trim this, I'm going to trim it on the serger before I do anything else. But that's looking pretty good. It's looking real good. Oh, it's off a little bit right there. So I'm going to trim off that top edge. Okay. And while it's set up like this, I'm just going to do that right now. Get a nice straight cut across there. I'm still using that 3-thread rolled hem. Narrow rolled hem at that. Put my weight up here. There we go. Now it won't drag. I want to drag off the edge and keep it nice and straight. Now this is something you can do when you have yardage and you're cutting up a quilt top. You can cut your selvages off and save them like this, because a lot of people like to make stuff off of selvages, but this is a great way to get a nice, healthy selvage is by trimming it on your serger. Come on, yeah. There we go. Okay. And now we'll just flatten that out like I did the other end. Now I have two nice, even finished edges along each edge of my 108 wide quilt pack from selvage to selvage. Okay. And now you can come down here and chill. Little trash can I have down here beside my serger, right here. Check it out. Okay. So next I'm going to set the serger up for a 4-thread overlock. Now I already know that I am going to set this to the longest stitch setting, number 4. I'm going to raise my feet. I'm going to put that needle in it. Raise that presser foot up. I'm just going to take the presser foot off while I'm putting the needle in. That just seems to work better for me. I have big fingers, so I have to make a little room. Get my little handy dandy tool here. And sure that needle's all the way up, and I'll just tighten that little puppy up. There we go. And now I'm going to put it into threading mode. And let's see, I'm going to overlock. I'll lower that knife while I'm doing this. And I'm going to put my 01 needle threading in. Okay. Thread goes in the thread and fabric scraps. And now I'm going to push my air threaders on. Oops. My vision's been a little off today. And it helps if you put the thread in front of the proper needle, and I just unthreaded it with my fingers. We'll just try that again. It's all good. Okay, come here, you. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Almost did it again. There it is. Okay. Now it's ready. Okay, so I'm gonna get my foot back on there. I'm using the open-toed foot tonight. Okay. We are ready to attach some elastic. I'm going to put my stitch selector back up to the letter A, 4-thread overlock. I'm going to set my stitch width to its highest setting, 6.0, and I have my stitch length set to 4. So what I'm going to do, now I'm not going to stretch the elastic because I don't want my fabric gathered. That being said, I'm not going to allow the blade to cut anything, but I am going to use the edge of the blade as a guide as this goes through, okay? So I'm not going to stretch my elastic like I would if I was doing a garment. I'm just going to run it right along this edge, right like so. See here, let me hold it up here to the camera. I'm just going to run it right along the edge, and I'm going to overlock it, the edge of the fabric to the edge of the elastic. Okay? Now you might be thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of elastic. Well, I only have like 200 or 300 yards of this elastic in the shop, so it's all good. I have plenty of elastic. Okay. And I'm going to get you right up to the needle. There we go. There we go. That's right where I want you. Now I'm not going to pull it or anything. I'm going to let the serger pull everything through. Get you over here. You'll feed nice and even and smoothly. Hopefully I cut my elastic to the proper length. We'll find out here very shortly. Okay, and I'm going to pull this up into my lap so it feeds better. There we go. Okay. There we go. Alrighty, now we're ready to do it. We're ready to get it done. Okay. I don't want to put my mic wire through there. The elastic was wanting to pull that up into it. That would not be good. Just going right along. Perfect. Oh yes, that is so going to work. I've had too many irons in the fire. I have put off doing this, and I'm so happy to get started on it. We have been so busy resetting the store with all the fabric that's coming in, and Mike built new fabric shelves. They really look awesome. When I go to change up my wall coverings, I will just cut the elastic off encased in fabric and just reuse it. I can reuse it a couple of more times that way. So, I did pretty good. I'll just have to trim a little bit off right there. I just have about cut it about half an inch too long. Okay, there we go. As you can see, right there, have my elastic attached. Elastic attached, I should say. And I had that set on 4. So the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to fold the elastic over. That way it's nice and covered. And I'm going to fold it over, and then I will go to the sewing machine and I'm going to zigzag it down. I could set it up for a cover stitch, but I really don't want to do that right now because I want to leave the machine set up because I have 4 walls to make coverings for. So anyway, so that's what I was doing. Now let me go back to my other screen on the computer. I'll answer questions. And let's see here. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay. Ooh-wee. So what I have done here and what I'm making wall coverings for the walls in my studio. And I'm using 108 wide quilt back, which is what this is. And what I first did, at one end, I did a 3-thread narrow hem for the bottom of my wall covering. My wall drape is what I'm calling it. And then for the top of it, I have attached 3/4 inch no-roll waistband elastic, but I did not stretch it as I was putting it on because I want it to lay flat. I will turn it over and then stitch down. Let's see, right here. I will turn it over when I get the rest of them made and do this all in one step. I will turn it over and just stitch right along the edge of this that I just did. And then it will have an encased elastic band at the top of it. And the reason I'm doing it like this is because in this old house and in my studio, in our shop, this house was built in 1881 and there's 11-foot ceilings throughout. So I have picture rails at the top of the ceiling in my studio, my virtual classroom here, and I'm going to attach the elastic. It'll be clipped, excuse me, to the picture rails. And that way it'll make a nice solid drape. If you tune in for either of my live streams on Thursday, you will see some of it done. This whole wall, I have 2 of these to make. This will cover 1 wall, hopefully. We'll see. But as I was saying earlier, this is some of my new 108 wide quilt back that came in, and I decided I'm going to use 108 wide quilt backs to make wall coverings, and that's what I was doing tonight.